So students, we all were talking about we were doing the comparative study of the respiratory organ, and last lecture we all have discussed bony fish, and I told you that next lecture also will continue with the bony fish only. So last lecture, general structure of the bony fish we have learned with the example Labiorohita. We have learned that the bony fish have the operculum, and this operculum aids into the trapdoor, and it acts, or you can say it acts for the sucking the water, right? So today we will be learning about the accessory respiratory organ. Now when accessory respiratory organ means the special organ, respiratory organ will be same. What would be? That is the gills. I told you when we are talking about the fish, so definitely the respiratory organ will be the gills only, because the I told you the efficient way, the uh, organ which can extract the dissolved oxygen is the gills only. So fish, when we talk about fish or any aquatic animal, they must possess the gills or gills like structure, then only they can extract the dissolved oxygen from the water. But now, why accessory organs are required? So see, accessory organs are present, it does not mean that animal is lacking gills. These accessory organs will present in addition to the gills. Okay, now first of all we must know why do they require. Now some fishes, they live into the shallow and the stagnant water, and sometimes even the pediphiles also you will find flooded pediphiles, like they have the abundant quantity of the water. So sometimes what happen in the case of the summer, or sometimes it happens that stagnant water do not have the sufficient quantity of the oxygen, dissolved oxygen. So to tolerate the oxygen deficient water for sometimes they require some accessory organs. Now what accessory organ? Different fish have the different modified organ which helps them to take the air oxygen. Now see, their respiratory organ, that means the gills, they are meant for taking the oxygen from only and only water. Means now gills are very efficient, they can extract the oxygen out of the dissolved water, but they are not sufficient, they cannot take the water air oxygen. So that means the gaseous molecule, directly gaseous oxygen form, they cannot take, they can convert the dissolved oxygen only. So they require some time of the accessory organs. So these accessory organs can be labyrinthine, this labyrinthine, it can be the arborescent organ, it can be the swim bladder, it can be anything. So various fish have the various type of adaptation. Now you will find that some fish, means most of the time you will find these accessory organs are present into the freshwater fish only. Why not in marine? Because in the case of the marine environment, the drying up of the water body is rare. So for that particular reason, and dissolved oxygen quantity is also sufficient. So that particular reason, marine animal most of the time, I'm not telling always, most of the time lacks their accessory respiratory organ. So now what happened, where this accessory of organ situated? So most of the time such structure they will originate from the pharyngeal or the bronchial cavity. Why pharyngeal? Because it must be near the gills, no? And it must be in contact with the gills. So what is going to be happen, these accessory organ will take the air oxygen, whatever oxygen is present into the air, and thereafter it will convert that oxygen in the suitable form which is required to the gills. Understood? So for that reason, they must be present near around. So that's why they originate either from the pharyngeal or the bronchial cavity. Rarely found, as I told you, into the marine environment. Today we all are going to learn the accessory organ with two special fish, Anabus and the Clarius. So these will have this particular accessory sac will have the diverticula. Now see, this accessory organ are called as opercular lungs. I repeat, they are called as the opercular lungs. Opercular means it is situated near around the operculum. Last lecture I told you operculum is what? Operculum is the covering of the gills, which hides the gill, which prevents the gills for the taking the water from it. We have learned into the last lecture that the gills in the case of the bony fish are prevented to take water in. They are meant for only exit of the water, right? Last lecture we all have learned about it. So they are these accessory organs are developed from the dorsal surface of the bronchial chamber, and they lie above the gills in both the examples. So one by one we will learn the example. First example is Anabus. Anabus is also called as the climbing perch. It is also called as climbing guramis. Now, when we talk about the Anabus, Anabus is the freshwater fish. The family of the Anabas is Anabantidea, and they can live as well as walk out of the water. Interestingly, their body is so rough and spiny that they can even climb the coconut tree. Now we know the surface of the coconut tree is very rough, but they, with the help of their walking skill, now how do they walk? They walk with the help of their tail and lower edge of the spines. Now I'm going to show you the video how they actually walk. Then the interestingly when they walk, then how do they take air? So they are air breathing, and they have the special organ, special accessory organ which is called as labyrinth. That's why they are also called as the labyrinthine fishes. Now, presence of the labyrinthine organ. This is the labyrinthine organs. These are the special labyrinthine plates which helps them to breathe outside. Now, see what happens. This labyrinthine organ is helping them to extract water or take the air water. So, with the help of that, they can live without water for 6 to 10 hours. They will not die. They can remain live for longer time. Now what happened, because of that they become predatory, and they start catching the birds. They come out on the beaches, and now they have become they become so rough and tough that they are invasive species. Students, note down the term invasive species. Invasive species means when these species are introduced to the new environment, they conquer that particular environment or that particular area, and they increase their number abundantly because of the absence of the natural predator to them, and they make them the least concern species. Now see, next semester we all are going to learn in detail about the categorization of the animal into the red data book. So in that we all are going to learn that the animal are categorized on their abundance as rare, endangered, then vulnerable. So all these are the threatened category, and thereafter least concern are there. So they become the least concern. That means they have the abundant numbers. Okay, so let us discuss about its special respiratory organ. As I told you, the special respiratory organ is what? It is the labyrinthine organ. So labyrinthine organ, actually, what happened in the case of the Anabas, there are two species like outgrowth. You can see here. So you will observe it into the dorsal. Now I told you about the dorsal and ventral. You must always remember dorsal means the head region. Suppose if example I ask you to keep your hands, so your hands, the side where your nail are present is the dorsal region of your hand. Understood, student? And the palm region is your the ventral side. So dorsal means always you remember that the nail region of your hand. When you will remember it with your hand, you will remember it forever. Okay. So now whenever I'm telling dorsal, you must remember dorsal is the above region. So where this is present, this sac-like outgrowth is present at the dorsal side of the branchial chamber. Now branchial chamber means the chamber which is made for the purpose of storing, or you can say which is supporting the respiratory organ. Now when we talk about the bronchial chamber which is modified, that is called as a suprabronchial chamber. So on that suprabronchial chamber, this epithelium lining is having highly vascularization. Now vascularization purpose we all know that if it is more vascular, more surface will give out and it becomes very much folded to increase the respiratory area. The suprabronchial chamber communicates freely with the opercular cavity, but it also communicates with the buccopharyngeal cavity. Now see, suprabronchial cavity, they are connected with the operculum. That's why I told you they are having the connection. Now operculum is controlled. The previous example when we were talking about the Rohu, what we have learned that the operculum is controlled by what? It was controlled by the branchiostegial rays, right? That was connecting the operculum. So directly whenever the water is required, the operculum was opening, right? When the pressure was lowered down. But here the control of the operculum is having to the suprabronchial chamber. Why? Because now here they are in contact with the accessory organ. So this suprabronchial chamber will communicate freely with the opercular cavity as well as the buccopharyngeal cavity. Each chamber contains the rosette-like structure. Just now I showed you that is called as the labyrinthine organ. Now when we talk about this labyrinthine organ, these are the accessory organ. You must remember if the MCQ is asked or the question for 1 marks is asked, the what is the accessory respiratory organ in Anabus? So you must be able to answer that it is the labyrinthine organ. Okay. So this labyrinthine organ is a rosette-like structure. It consists of numerous shell-like plates. Just now I showed you into the previous diagram. You can see the plates clearly, right? So this have the shell-like concrete plates, and these plates have the wavy margins. You can see here. So because of that, they are covered with the vascular gill-like epithelium, and thereafter when the air enter into the chamber through the bronchopharyngeal opening, it goes through the external gill slits. So air will cannot enter here. Air will enter into this gill slits, and entrance of the buccopharyngeal cavity will be controlled by the wall. Direct. Whenever now see what is going to be happen. Now air has come. Mechanism of breathing will be same into the all bony fish, but now when they will breathe with the air, so what is going to be happen, they have the special control from the water. Definitely they are going to be aid with the gills only, but when they will take the air, so this air will go in this labyrinthine organ, and in the labyrinthine organ they will do the gaseous exchange. This is also the accessory respiratory organ. So this make the fish to survive for the longer period. Let us study the second example, respiration into the Clarius. Now, when we talk about the Clarius, you might have seen this is the catfish. This is a commonly found into the India as well as the Africa, and you might have seen it into the market also. Now, see this fish, when we talk about normally, so normally slow moving or stagnant water they are found, but they even you will find them into the paddy fields and a muddy region. So what happened, this muddy region or this stagnant water is of oxygen deficient. So what happened, when it dries up, they can walk for the hours. They can walk, and this walking ability enables them to move to the new aquatic environment. So they go to the new area and they become the at their particular areas. Now see this particular uh, accessory respiratory organ which helps them to respire without the gills. So this will usually found into the tropical fishes or the fishes which have the amphibian habitat. And in the case of the fish which are present into the abundant quantity of the water, and the water resource is the perennial type, so that particular area this accessory organ is lacking or degenerated. Now what is the name of that accessory organ? That organ is called as the arborescent organ or the dendriform organ. Dendri because it is having the dendritic structure. So again I will show you the diagram. This is the arborescent dog. This looks like the dendrites, so that's why it is also called as the dendriform organ. So let us discuss about the Clarius respiratory organ or accessory respiratory organ. Clarius respiratory organ will be the gills only, but accessory respiratory organ will be the arborescent organ. So when we talk about the catfish, so they, you will find that they also have the suprabranchial organ which is lies above the gill, and you will find that they are divided into the two parts. An artery or rosette like structure you will find arborescent. Now this arborescent organ is supported by the cartilaginous internal structure. You will find that here this pack, this particular area is packed, and this is your operculum part. So this is enclosed into the cartilaginous skeleton, and it is covered by the vascular epithelium and highly vascular sac of the branchial chamber. And all these are enclosed into the arborescent organ, and this is packed up into the skeleton. Now several gills formed by joining the gill filament, you can see here, the gills are also joining. So you will find that suprabranchial organ and gills, they are in connection with each other. So when the air is taken up from the mouth continuously, what happened, the Clarius will pump that air into the arborescent organ, and they can live outside water for the several hours, and they can move along. Means it is not like that just for survival they are coming out of the water. They can survive very well, very efficiently, and for hours they can live. And not only this, they can walk very nicely, as we have seen in the previous case. Anabas, she is using the lower edge, spine and tail to walk. Same way this fish also use its paddle fin and its body can walk very well. It is very efficient in walking. It can move along the damp grasses also, and then thereafter from one field to second field, some areas it have been seen that they are coming on the road also for crossing the aquatic environment. So if some they found some thread or deficiency of food or any reason, they simply come out of that particular aquatic environment, and thereafter they move to the new environments. That means they can shift themselves. So this is about the accessory respiratory organ. Definitely you can ask me any doubt if you will have. So today we all have learned the accessory respiratory organ in two fishes, that is the Anabas, that is also called as the climbing perch or the climbing gouramis, and then after Clarius, that is your catfish. So for this note, today we'll stop.